right, this is 4th grade, Module 5, Lesson 1, and we begin a big old huge long module on fractions. And in this lesson, students are going to be decomposing fractions as a sum of unit fractions using tape diagrams. Now, what does that mean? Well, we know that from earlier grades, like if I were to say the number 5, well, 5 can be decomposed as 2 plus 3. Or 5 can be decomposed as 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Did I do enough ones? Yeah, okay, so anyway, now fractions can be done the exact same way. 2/3 can be decomposed as 1/3 plus 1/3. And that's the idea. So let's get started on this.
So, for example, if we have like 5/6, now the idea is 5/6 is going to look, and I shouldn't use the equal sign, but it's going to look like this. So that denominator we need to know is how many pieces the whole, and I've decided this tape right here represents one whole. In fact, let's label that. So I'm going to call this whole thing one whole. And the denominator says we need to cut that whole into 6 pieces in this case. The numerator, 5, says, well, that's how many are shaded or indicated or highlighted or emphasized, whatever your phrase is, right? So there's 5/6. Now, what we're talking about in terms of number bonds or tape diagrams is I could, if I wanted to, I could emphasize these 2 and these 3, in which case this is 2/6 and this is 3/6. So what we could do is we could create a number bond and say, hey, 5/6 is 2/6 plus 3/6. So that's an example. I mean, we could also do 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 as a way to make 5/6. Another example is 7/4. Now, 7/4 is a little bit trickier down here because it's saying a whole. This denominator says the whole has 4 parts. So that means our whole is going to have 4 parts. Now, the numerator says we're going to shade in 7 of them. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. We actually need another whole also cut into 4 parts. And that's where we can shade in the remaining 3. So we see that this right here is one whole. And we can see that if we shade in all of these, that's 7/4. And again, there's a lot of ways we could write a number bond, and I'm going to squeeze in that number bond just like right here. One way we could do it is we could call this 4/4 and 3/4 as our number bond for 7/4. This is not the only number bond possible. I mean, you could do, what could we do? We could do, like right here, 3/4 plus 2/4 plus 2/4 if we wanted to. So that's the idea of decomposition of fractions. We're going to take that numerator and really think about that. This denominator down here is kind of like our unit. And we can decompose, much like we decomposed in earlier grades. One last little example. When you see a picture that looks like this in Eureka Math, this is a little tricky, because what's tricky about it is you need to identify where is the whole. And the whole, as in W-H-O-L-E, is in this case right here. So that means, because that is indicating the whole right here, that means the whole, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, has been cut into 5 equal sized pieces. So we are dealing with fifths here, not sixths. All right, and that's a tricky thing. So what are we looking at? We're actually, in this case, this is 1/5, this is 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, and 1/5. So we're actually looking at one whole plus 1/5, or we can also say we're looking at 6/5. So parents and teachers, I thought I would highlight this because that's a little on the tricky side and a little unusual compared to how we were brought up with fractions. So here it says, draw a number bond, and write the number sentence to match each tape diagram. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to look, and we see that we've got a hole, and that hole has been cut into 4 equal size pieces. So that means our denominator is going to be 4. And we see that we are talking about 2/4. And that's this right here. These 2 out of 4. And because these little brackets are highlighting one little unit each, that means our number bond is 1/4 and 1/4, because they're saying here's a 4th and here's a 4th. And so if we wanted to write a number sentence, we would write 2/4 is equal to 1/4 plus 1/4. Just a couple more examples real quick. So up here, we can see this entire tape is labeled as one whole. So let's see what our denominator is. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our denominator is going to be an 8, and we can see that 3 of them have been shaded in. So the fraction we're dealing with is 3/8. Now, what is our tape diagram? What is our number bond? Well, the important thing is you can see right here, this bracket is around 2 of them, and then this bracket is around 1 of them. So what one of those little units. So what that's saying is this is 2/8, and this is 1/8. So that's our number bond, 2/8 and 1/8. And then our number sentence would be 3/8 is equal to 2/8 plus 1/8. Down here is kind of like I did in the previous slide. It's where we're looking at this whole tape diagram, but this whole tape diagram is actually more than 1. If we want to see what 1 is located right here. There's our 1. So if we wanted to count the units, how many parts is this? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that means we're dealing with eighths. All right, again. So we're dealing with eighths, and we can see that this piece right here is 3/8. We can see that this piece right here is 2/8. This little piece right here is 1/8. We've got another 3/8, and then we have another 3/8. So how many eighths do we have all together? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So first off, we're dealing with 12/8. And then our number bond is actually going to have 5 pieces. And it's going to be 3/8, 2/8, 1/8, 3/8, and 3/8. And then we could, I'm not going to, but we could write that as a number sentence, just addition, a whole bunch of addition. Incidentally, this picture over here happens to tell us that 12/8 is equal to 1 whole, because where's 1 whole? 1 whole is right here. It's equal to 1 whole plus these 4 little eighths left over. Now, this is beyond this particular lesson, but I'm just giving you a sneak preview about what we're going to be seeing in future lessons. All right, so here we're supposed to draw and label a tape diagram. And parents and teachers, this concept of tape diagrams is pretty unique to Common Core. This is probably not something you yourself were taught back in the day when you were a kid, so I thought I'd highlight this. So when we see 5/8, we're supposed to draw a tape diagram for 5/8. So the denominator is 8, so we know we're going to begin by cutting our 1 whole into 8 equal-sized pieces, and then ideally we would shade in 5 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, this 2/8 means we're supposed to highlight these 2. This 2/8 means we're supposed to highlight these 2, and this 1/8 means we're supposed to highlight just this 1. And there is our tape diagram. This tape diagram matches this number sentence. Similarly over here, we can see that our denominator is 8, so that means a whole number is going to be, one whole is going to be represented with 8 equal-sized pieces. So there is one whole. And then, but here's the kind of the cool thing is we need, so there's 8 pieces, and we need 12. So we need 4 more of these little pieces, don't we? So we need 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's our extras. All right. So if we want to label these, well, 6, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6/8. And then 2/8. 1, 2, there's our 2/8. And then 4/8. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's our 4/8. So, oh, by the way, hey, look at that. Right there is 4/8, so that's 4/8. So this is our tape diagram that matches this. And incidentally, this also shows us that 12/8 is equal to 1 whole plus 4/8. But that's beyond the scope of this lesson. I'm just kind of giving you a sneak preview into the future. And one last one. So the 1 1/4 means we're going to draw 1 whole, and because the denominator is a 4 right here, that means we need to cut it into 4 equal-sized pieces. So that's 1 whole plus 1 extra 1/4 right here. And so these are all 4ths, right? These are all 4ths. And so our tape diagram is going to look like this. 1 whole right here plus 1 extra 1/4. Now we can also see that 1 1/4 is equal to 5/4, but that's a little sneak preview. And that wraps up 4th grade Module 5, our very first lesson in a very long module on fractions.